This build is the meta in Mighty Doom right now, and anyone can use it, beginner to expert. It's so fun and satisfying. You're going to see why. This is the Gauss Cannon chain gun build. I'm going to take you through each of these pieces, tell you why I selected it, and then show you all the perks that you need to do to make this thing work. I'm using the chain gun here. Why? It has an extremely high rate of fire, high damage. You can bounce the projectiles around the arena, and it's all together an extreme powerhouse, and it really synergizes well with the Gauss Cannon that'll be coming up next. You got that long range attack. You can have a little shield if you want, but that's not the big point here. You can bounce the projectiles around and do a lot of damage in a little time. Closer you get, the more projectiles hit, so you can go in close, you can back away, high damage. This baby right here is one of the shining stars of this build, the Gauss Cannon. Looking here, a 44 level rare has 16,078 damage. That means when you get those damage boosts and those attack boosts, that's a lot. That's 5 and 10% up off of a gigantic number. This is a true powerhouse. If you're a Gauss Cannon build, you need this gun. Remember, Gauss Cannon, high damage, low defense. The power, you kill them before they even touch you. The true Slayer, Rip and Tear, Berserk Rage. Now the power in this, as you'll see in the footage here, and I'll go over when I go over the perks, is not just the laser beam. Yes, but you open up with this here, and it ties into your equipment, and I'll explain all the strategy here in a minute. When you're bouncing shots, when you start that battle out and you're bouncing shots off the walls in the arena, going through different enemies, you literally have a BFG type of gun, almost, not quite, that you can use every 10 seconds. And it synergizes with the gear, I'll tell you in a minute. Gauss Cannon, use it. Far range distance, you can be across the arena and hurt them, just like with the chain gun. It's a ranged hit, but if you need to go up close, you can really deal the pain. Like I said, when we go over the perks, this will all become more clear closer to the end of the video to explain why they work so well together. Okay, you gotta have it, the BFG. You can also use the Unmaykr. BFG is better for arenas, Unmaykr for bosses. I like it for arenas because you're already doing a ton of damage with bosses anyway with this strategy. This helps you have a safety net to clear, so you can hold on to it in case you need it, or if you just literally enter an arena, you shoot the BFG, and then as soon as that shoots, you tap your Gauss Cannon to blast anything that might have survived and nailed you. Or just maybe go ahead to get a glory kill just to be safe. Glory kill Rage, we'll talk about that in a minute. The point is, the BFG clears an entire room for you, wipes it off the map, just mass damage. This is a Gauss Cannon build. You're meant to inflict the pain. The BFG Big Fun Gun 9000 literally does that. You might want to try the Unmaykr as well, because you have that 20% passive damage buff that you can get from a perk, and also some weapons have iframe invincibility frames when you fire them, like the SSG meat hook. It seems like the BFG does from testing, and the Unmaykr as well, so that protects you when you really need it while dishing out major pain, just like the movie from the 90s. If you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, the ice here. Now I'm using an ice bomb because it's the epic that I have. You could also try a frag because those are the highest damaging grenades if you want to, since this is a damage build. You could try an acid grenade because those lower the enemy's defenses, naturally meaning you do more damage. You were literally supposed to wipe the floor with this build. That's the satisfying part of it. But you're going to have to learn how to dodge, and that's why we talk about the classic Slayer. Well, he's very important to this build. I'm going to show you why in just a second, okay? So this, frag, acid, ice, whatever you want to use is fine. Don't stress about this too much. Those are the big three. Your armor matters too. We'll talk about it in a second. Slayer build, I use classic. He was recently fixed. Here is why. Yes, he has a little bit less damage than Crimson. It's true. You don't have the 25% perk when you get low health to deal increased damage. I've heard that's not a lot anyway. That's fine. The beauty of classic Slayer is that you're already low health Gauss Cannon. Having his extra health goes a long way to keeping you alive when you really need it, because you're not going to have a lot of health. And his invulnerability, as soon as he gets hit, he has a little protection bubble around him, and when you're going in even close for these moves, far away, you need that extra protection, that cushion, because like I said, you don't have a lot of it in this build. But if you truly want to have the max output possible, you can try the gold skin. The ability, kills have a chance to recharge secondary weapon, is huge, because what if you shoot a Gauss and then boom, back to back another Gauss? And from what I've been told in the Discord, this thing actually happens often, and you actually get to recharge fast. I personally don't have the gold skin, so classic is the next best thing that you would use in that case, but if you do, let me know in the comments how the gold skin works for you in this build. Now, I'm not saying to forego all of this right side decent gear here. You want to have a healthy balance. You don't want to have one helmet, one gauntlet, or one chest, any of that. You need a little bit over here to make up for it, but let me explain to you what's going on with this. The helmet, not actually defense, it gives you more damage. This is the beauty of it right here. I love this. Slig, a really good player, turned me on this idea. The damage is 94 on here, plus 3 on each level. You have the chain gun, right? This is so cool. Follow me, it'll blow your mind. You have the chain gun. It shoots many little projectiles at once instead of one big one. So when you go to this helmet, this 94 bonus here, that's applied to each of those chain gun bullets. Now do you see where we're going with this glass cannon build? Instead of having one projectile have this 94 bonus, you have all the little chain guns that are taking help from this helmet and are just completely blasting everything. It's too cool. Now I'm using a UAC helmet here. I would recommend even demonic because it's more damage, critical, blah blah, all that. Whatever you want to use is fine. Make sure it's damage. What's interesting about this build, I pulled these from a crate, so I'm using them, and it actually makes this build kind of cool, kind of fun. It makes it a true rip and tear slayer. Here's why. With my helmet, critical chance 30% for 5 seconds after firing secondary weapon. So calculated aggression. For the next 5 seconds after I launch the Gauss and blow apart the arena, I have a 30% greater critical hit chance. All those little chain gun bullets, that's good chance for critical, right? Because you're shooting a lot of them. So you go in, 5 seconds, you rip and tear the place apart, whatever's left from your Gauss. Carefully, because you don't want to die. It's a fine line you got to walk here. You got to be really careful with this build. But if that's not enough, we go to our gloves, more damage, multiples with the chain gun. Remember, the chain gun benefits from this glove here. Damage 40% for 5 seconds after firing secondary weapon. So I have 30 and 40% buffs after shooting my clear room Gauss. Just clears the whole room. I go in, do super damage, 40% more criticals, more damage, boom, boom. It literally just clears the enemies. And if you get a glory kill, you grab the glory kill rage and do even more damage on top of it. It's crazy. And on top of that, this is what I love. If you have extended stagger, you have more time to go get those glory kills. If they give you more health back from that perk, the bloodthirst, you get more health back from your GKs. So GKs are a resource on the field. You don't want them to run out, but you want to make use of them. Too good. I'm using the demonic chest plate here. It's got a bunch of health to it, and this is very, very important. Damage resist 4%. You are going to be taking a lot of hits. If you have 4%, that is not a lot sounding, but every hit 4% less, and then your invulnerability from your Slayer suit, great combo. Now, I was actually talking to my friend Goguru, who is a top tier player of this game, and I asked him why not use one with melee resistance. It's 15%, because 15 is more than 4, right? Well, most of your attacks in this game are going to be from range, and you can fight them and counter them back from range or close up if you need, depending on the situation. So having that damage resist for every attack is super nice, because it covers your range and your melee. Most bosses are going to be melee too, or range, going from a distance. So gotta love that chestplate. The demonic set's really good. Demonic boots, these are so good. I know this is a glass cannon build, but if you look at my screen here, you'll notice I have 30 levels in this. This is the most important because it gives you a ton of health. Like these boots have so much health on them. It's insane. You need that health to survive, but you don't want to go too heavy with it. Melee dodge chance, 5%. Projectile dodge chance, 5%. You can dodge attacks that you clearly need to be very careful with and avoid. Gotta love those boots because they are so useful. Now, for the Masteries, we can't really pick what we're doing. The best ones you're going to want: damage to increase by weapons, equipment boost, having more health and damage. Of course, resistances are nice, glory kills healing you are nice, everything is good in that regard. So now I'm going to take you through each of the perks I selected because these are just as important as the build. So we have the classic Slayer tough ability, that just comes with it because we need that extra padding there, but Crimson Slayer will be fine too. We have multi-shot for the Gauss Cannon because all of those shots just going around the arena, 1, 2, 3 everywhere, multiple shots from the Gauss, very valuable when you're going for high damage. Lead poisoning, another big one that you want to have. It adds toxic damage and a chance to weaken the enemy defenses to the Gauss. More damage, toxic, just ultimate power. So it's a very good buff to have. It's pretty high on my priority list. Right here, Pierce. This is one of the 2 S tiers. This build, you need this, and bounce. We'll talk about it in a second. I'll explain all that. Pierces enemies with the projectiles. For the chain gun, for the Gauss, you need it because the Gauss has a different name. You want to go through the enemies as you're going around the arena. You don't just want it to stop at one enemy. You want to hit everyone. Like, make your Gauss like a BFG, and you need to do it with Pierce. Same thing with chain gun. Going through the enemies, crucial. Of course, damage up. You definitely want to have the damage boost as possible. Energy shield, fine. I had the option to get it. It's nice to have because even if you don't fully stand still, what it does is you put that shield out there and it gives you that positioning. So you want to run around that shield, do your thing, hide behind it real quick, go back around it. Enemies aren't always going to be targeting it if you're moving around, so it gives you just an opportunity and positioning to keep yourself safe. Okay, Glory Kill Rage, it's around 20% or so increase from my calculations. Every time you do a GK and heal, you get that burst of power, which, as we talked about before, power, strength, this is the Berserk Rip and Tear, cautiously calculated aggression slayer, and anything for more damage is always appreciated. The damage boon from the Seraphim, yes, this is the biggest boost you can get to your damage. If you see this, take the hit to your defense, just do it, grab that thing there. But be careful, of course. Like I said, bounce, this is with the chain gun. One of the two most important upgrades. I cannot stress how S tier this is, because now not only shooting ahead, you're bouncing your shots off of walls and continuing that shot onward, hitting enemies behind cover that you can't see, that they maybe can't see you, and going around the arena to places you can't reach from way back here. And you'll see this used a lot in my run when I grab it. It's so useful. When you pierce through the enemies at the same time, you're bouncing off the wall, hitting an enemy and taking out the next one. That is insane damage, not just to the main enemy, but everyone else around. The total output of damage really stacks high. Of course, attack speed and damage, you want to level those both up equally. For the 5% minor boost, 10% major is what they give off of your base number. Level them up equally if you can. That is fine there. Magnetic acceleration, shots pierce through additional enemies. You'll see me do this in runs. I'll spawn as soon as with the Gauss open, I'll go to the side, shoot down a whole row of enemies. Just not only does that take down that complete row of enemies there, that opens up a pathway for me to run through if I need. So it not only does damage, takes enemies off the field, it opens up positioning and movement to where I can get out and I'm not just backed away in a little corner. You can be backed in a corner with this build, that's fine, you better know how to dodge, but you shouldn't be. The saving grace is all your damage kills the enemies fast enough to make you safe. Not ideal, so try not to if you can. So after that, critical hit is always good, damage is multi-shot. Got another multi-shot, had the option, more shots, it's nice to see your Gauss go boom, boom, boom. Really, it's pretty satisfying to do. Even if you do less damage per shot with some of these multiple things, it still adds up to be more total damage output in the end of it all. Spin fast, yeah, decreases spin up time to reach max rate of fire. That's nice because that's more bullets, more faster ammo going out to them, and if you have this combined with an upgrade that keeps your accuracy when you're shooting at a distance, that's all the better. More damage, that's the key of this build. You are a glass cannon. You are meant to inflict rip and tear pain, even though you're pretty fragile yourself. Okay, so after that we have the Curse, of course, damage boost, and that. I can't think of anything else that got left out. If there is anything that is damaging, you want it on your build for sure. Check out the beginner guide build here, which actually works for everybody. I want to remake it into more an advanced one as well, so definitely check it out, get yourself primed and ready for the next one, and subscribe for more Mighty Doom tips, strategy guide. And by the way, come into the Discord, we talk about this stuff all the time in there.